Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So today I want to talk about what pharmacist jobs to avoid. And this is coming from somebody who's been a pharmacist for 11 years, since 2013. I'm a pharmacy director for the past 7 years. So I've hired a lot of pharmacists. I've fired pharmacists. I've been fired as a pharmacist from Walgreens, and I've been laid off as a pharmacist. So I've experienced everything, right? I've interviewed a lot of people. I've done a lot of interviews. I've been fired. I fired a pharmacist. I got laid off. So I've seen it all. I've been at bankrupt hospitals. I've been at hospitals that closed down. So I feel like I have a lot of experience to talk about which pharmacist jobs you should avoid. So the first pharmacist job you should avoid is working for a big chain retail pharmacy like Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid. So I have a video that's doing pretty well right now, talk about how I got fired from Walgreens as a pharmacist. But to be honest, all retail big box pharmacies, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, they're kind of all the same for the most part. I lump them all together. I've been a pharmacist for 11 years. All my classmates that are retail pharmacists, they hate their jobs, right? Like they literally have to float through a region. So imagine you live in the Bay Area. You have to float through many different stores, many different areas, and you have to basically just work a couple hours here and there. So one day I'm working in San Francisco, one day I'm working in San Mateo, one day I'm working in Menlo Park, one day I'm working in Palo Alto. Sometimes I have to do a 4-hour shift, sometimes I'm doing an 8-hour shift. You're not even guaranteed hours, you're not guaranteed a store, you're not guaranteed anything. Right? So, if you're becoming a pharmacist, this is your most common job. Like, if that was my only option, I would not want to become a pharmacist. The work environment is very stressful. They have metrics. They track how long does it take for you to pick up your phone call? How many prescriptions are you filling? How many vaccines are you giving? There's just a lot of metrics, and a lot of, like Walgreens, CVS, right? They're closing down, right? Because if they're in rough, ghetto areas, they're getting looted because people want to steal the Percocets, the Vicodins, the promethazine of codeine cough syrup, right? I'm trying to spit some of my pharmacy knowledge here. Usually don't on my channel. But yeah, they just want to steal these drugs, right? So like a lot of pharmacies in rough areas are closing down because they're not making money, right? And then there's mail order pharmacies, like Amazon's doing it, Mark Cuban's doing it, Walgreens is doing it. So it's less overhead, it's more efficient to do that. So a lot of stores are closing down. So I know a lot of people, they buy triple net real estate, that's retail pharmacies like Walgreens, CVS. Like I would stay away from those now because they might close unless you're like in a really good area. And a lot of the good customers are doing mail order anyways. So when you work at retail, it's just not fulfilling whatsoever. Like you're just doing insurance, counting pills, dealing with angry customers who are at their worst, right? Customers just got discharged from a hospital and they want to get their drugs. They just saw the doctor. They want to get their antibiotics. They don't want to deal with copays. They don't want to stand in line with while you resolve your insurance, right? There's a drive-through window and they're not looking at you angry in the drive-through window. Like, what the heck are you doing? So it's a hard job, right? Like I feel empathy for those who work that job because it's hard. It's a hard job for technicians. It's a hard job for pharmacists. That's why a lot of them, they burn out and they end up wanting to work for hospital, right? Where I'm at. Because it has better longevity. You sit down, you're not standing for 8 hours a day, running back and forth. There's not phone calls constantly all day, right? Like literally the phone's just ringing all day and you're putting people on hold. And I remember at Walgreens, the moment a phone call came in, they would start tracking how long it takes for you to pick it up, the phone, right? Like, that's crazy, right? And the pay is less now too, right? Like you make way more money. Like in California, your average Walgreens pharmacist or retail pharmacist, I would say it's like $68 to $72. If you work in a hospital, you're starting in the 80s, right? Some hospitals start you in the 90s. Like if you work for Kaiser, for example. So, and then you have a lot more skill set and longevity, right? Like if you work in a hospital. So, but there's fewer jobs, like being honest, right? There's fewer hospital jobs out there. So that's why most of the pharmacists work in retail and it's not worth it. Right? So I would avoid a retail pharmacist altogether. And you can say, oh, well, you can become you open your own pharmacy. No, I opened my own pharmacy. I lost money. It's hard to make money as a retail pharmacist, even when you own your store. You have to pay rent It costs $3,000 just to get started with your own pharmacy. You're at the mercy of insurance, right? It's like a lot of times you will bill insurance companies for drugs and you lose money on some drugs, right? You'll literally lose money on some drugs. So it's a numbers game, right? Some drugs make you a lot of money, but some drugs lose you money. So collectively, hopefully you make more money, right? But you have to deal with all the stress. Like there's a lot of break-ins for your own pharmacy too, right? Like I owned a pharmacy and someone broke in, right? They broke in through the roof, found the narcotics, the Percocet, they stole it, right? So it's not easy too, right? It's not easy to open your own independent pharmacy. Like I'd rather just work at CVS than own my own pharmacy. The only way you can be successful with an independent pharmacy is if you have connections. Are you connected to a nursing home? Are you connected to a doctor's office? Are you connected to a hospital, right? Like once you have those connections, yes, you can make money, right? Because nursing home patients, you're filling a lot of blister packs for those patients. If you're working for a hospital or connected to a hospital, there's a lot of discharge prescriptions. So that's the only way you make money, right? It's a volumes game, a number game, and connections game. And a lot of patients now, they expect free delivery, right? So you have to mail it to them, which costs money. Like if I filled 5 prescriptions, I made $5 and it cost me $5 to ship it, I lost money. I broke even, right? So like, it's hard and no one's loyal, right? Like Amazon's trying to do pharmacy. Like, you know, like shit, if I needed drugs, I'd probably get my drugs through Amazon too, right? Just ship it to me with my Amazon Prime order. So, you know, like I said, I think retail pharmacy is a dying business. I couldn't do it, right? So I would stay away from that. The second job I would stay away from is working as a hospital pharmacist at small, shitty hospitals, right? So you don't want to work at small, standalone hospitals that are not doing well financially. So let me name a few chains that are in California, right? So in California, specifically Southern California, you have AHMC. So they own a bunch of hospitals in great locations, right? If you want to work in the 626, San Gabriel Valley, if you want to work in Orange County, there's a bunch of these hospitals, but they're so poorly run and not doing well financially. So these are the places that if you work at, they'll probably lay you off or flex your hours, right? But they're in a great location. Like, don't get me wrong, location is like A+, right? I live near one, but in terms of like longevity, it's not good, right? Because they're probably gonna lay you off. So it's okay if you're okay, you know, working there and you get laid off, that's fine, right? But don't expect for it in the long run. Other ones are like Orange, like KPC, which is like they own like Orange County Global Medical Center, Anaheim Global Medical Center. It's owned by a billionaire, I think, from the Middle East, and you know they do their business a little bit shady, right? I'll just say that, and you know they do a bunch of layoffs as well. Another one is like CPS, which I forgot what it stands for, but it might be Corporate Pharmacy Services, something like that. You know, like you can work for them. They're outsourced. So a lot of hospitals will outsource their pharmacy department to like CPS or Cardinal, and you know the hospital itself might be okay, but typically CPS, Cardinal, they don't pay very well, right? They pay on the lower end of the spectrum, but hey, you know, we don't care about pay as much, and it's in a good location. You know, you can work for them, but they are more for profit, and like I said, they don't really pay as competitive, right? Like I think I got offered like 170K as a pharmacy director, and at the time they're paying pharmacy directors 200K plus. So, you know, it's the risk that you take. But you know, like I said, if it's a good location, then you can try it out. But you know, it's probably still better than like some of these small, shitty hospitals. Another one is like Prime. So Prime, they own a bunch of hospitals in Southern California, owned by I think Indian billionaires. And you know, once again, I think they're run pretty well, but they just don't pay well for pharmacists. So if I had to rank it, like, yeah, don't work for those like small, shitty hospitals. Like if you work for those, like just work there for a little bit, get experience, and then move on to a bigger hospital, right? Another thing so on the flip side of this, like where would I work for, right? So for me, where you want to work for is you want to work for a place that gives you pension, right? Like you can work for county hospitals, right? Like Santa Clara County, LA County, you know, because you get pension there, right? And it's nice to get pension because it's rare nowadays. You want to work for like big chains like maybe Kaiser, right? Maybe the environment might be toxic, right? But it's very stable, and you know, they're not going anywhere. Another kind of place you want to avoid is you want to avoid working in a place where it's a toxic work environment. So there's a lot of hospitals, like Cedars, for example, it's one of them. I would say it's in a great location. Well, actually not a great location. Beverly Hills, so much traffic, but it's just such a toxic environment. Like pharmacists are out to get each other. They write each other up. They try to throw people under the bus. You'll never thrive in any toxic environment, right? I don't care how much they pay you. If it's a toxic environment, just know it's temporary, and know that just go there, get your experience, and move on to somewhere else. Because longevity wise, it's gonna be terrible, because it's not fun when you spend 40 hours a week at a place and people are trying to throw you under the bus. They're gossiping about you. They're trying to get you written up or fired. You know, like, you don't want to be around that, right? Like, you want to be in a more like laid back environment where people get along together, right? So, but it's gonna change, right? And you don't want to work for a place where your boss is like a super micromanager, like, and who's very like insecure about themselves, because like if that's the case, like they get threatened by you, they make decisions that aren't rational. It's just not fun, right? If you have a shitty boss, no job's gonna be good. So, you know, with all this being said, I know it looks very gloom now and grim becoming a pharmacist today. Like, would I go to pharmacy school today? I probably wouldn't, right? The job options aren't that great, you know, and there's potential for AI to come, right, to replace a lot of jobs, right? Not gonna deny that. So I want to do it today. So that's why I'm glad, and that's why I'm personally like doing a bunch of side hustles, right? Why do you think I invest in real estate? Why do you think I am building a YouTube channel and documenting my journey? Why do you think I want to become a real estate agent? Why do you think I'm doing coaching and mentorship? Because I want to diversify my income streams, because I know that my time as a pharmacist may come to an end, right? It may come to an end, right? Maybe hospitals will start closing down. Like a lot of like the UC hospitals, they're buying other hospitals that are shutting down. Like I think UC San Francisco, they bought 2 Dignity hospitals. UC Irvine bought some Dignity hospitals as well. So when hospitals are doing well or poorly financially, they're getting acquired by the UC hospitals, which is funded by the state, right? So these hospitals are doing well financially because they get money from the government, money from the state of California. So that's where you want to work, right? Because, you know, they're not going anywhere. They give you pension. You got 15 holidays. They pay in the higher end, but, you know, hopefully the environment isn't super toxic, and it could be when you're at the larger academic institutions. So yeah, that's why, you know, if you're a pharmacist today and you just graduated, like, get some streams of incomes, additional streams, do a side hustle, invest in real estate, invest in index funds, do something, because this isn't going to be forever, right? This isn't going to be forever. So get additional streams of income. Like for me, if my real estate income takes over my W-2, which it almost did, right? I'm just continuing to work further because I want to like build a bigger financial foundation, a bigger financial fortress before I really step away from my W-2. Or if my coaching, YouTube, mentorship blows up and I make way more than my pharmacist job, yeah, I'm gonna step away and go travel, right? I'd rather like create content and go travel before having kids, right? Or if my fiance becomes a realtor and she does well, like, you know, if you make 180K as a pharmacist and you sell 6 homes at 30K each commission, there you go. You sell a home every 2 months. That's a pharmacist salary, but it's hard, you know, it's hard to get those clients and it's inconsistent. But if I can do that, why not? Like, why not leave, right? So that's why you always got to constantly improve your skill sets, make yourself more valuable, improve yourself, because you never know when you'll need these skill sets, right? Like, I know I could become a realtor. I know I could do coaching and mentorship because I already do that at my job. I coach and mentor pharmacists as a pharmacy director. So I already do that. So, you know, you just got to keep on doing it is kind of the key. You just keep on doing it. So, you know, always better yourself. Never take your W-2 for granted. Like for me, I have a hospital job in a decent environment, doing well financially for now. So I'm grateful for it, right? But I know my time's not forever. There's going to be a day where I have to pay the piper, and maybe that's when I go into my next journey, my next adventure, right? Whether it's me retiring or whether, you know, I'm forced to retire, right? So that's really all it is. So, you know, to kind of summarize this, I would avoid your big box retail pharmacy. Avoid CVS, avoid Walgreens, avoid Rite Aid. They're all the same shit shows. If you want to work retail, work for Walmart, work for Costco, work for like Ralph's or Safeway, work for a closed door, work for an outpatient associated with a hospital. Like specialty pharmacies are a big popular topic. I work in specialty pharmacy, right? If you work at a hospital, work at a UC system hospital, it gives you pension. Work for a county hospital, it gives you pension. Work for a hospital that's financially stable. Don't work for these small one-off hospitals that aren't doing well financially. If you do, just know it's temporary, get the experience, and then move on, right? That's what I would do. That's what I did. Don't work for toxic environments where it's negative, not conducive to learning. People are trying to throw you under the bus. People are trying to like save themselves and put you as a scapegoat. That's temporary, right? And you know quickly. Trust your gut feeling. If you walk in there, I've experienced it twice. You walk in there, you feel it's negative, you feel it's toxic, start looking for another job immediately, right? Trust your gut on that one. Just start applying and see what else is out there. Hopefully you can get out there as soon as possible, right? And there's other options in pharmacy too. You can work for a pharma. You can go do industries. You can work for pharmaceutical companies like Gilead, Pfizer. Typically, they do a fellowship to get those jobs, right? But hey, it might be worth it. Like maybe if I were to be a pharmacist today, I would go down that route. I would do a fellowship, go down that route, and work for industry, work for Gilead, work for Genentech, work for Pfizer, right? You might have to travel a little bit. So there's other opportunities out there, but not as many, right? So like I said, I just knocked out like 70% of pharmacy jobs. But that's what I would recommend if you want to be long term. But don't get me wrong, I know a lot of coworkers, classmates, they've been working at CVS, Walgreens for like 10 years and they're okay with it, right? But it's just not the most fulfilling, and maybe they have fulfillment elsewhere besides their job, right? So that's what I do too. Like my fulfillment is through real estate, through learning, through teaching, to coaching, to mentorship. So anyways, if you're a pharmacist and you want to learn to buy multifamily real estate, check out my mentorship program. I have one-on-one coaching as well. Check out my links down below. Otherwise, let me know what questions you have, what comments you have. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.